So let me show you what Dr. Varma is suggesting. When you have normal functioning of the brain, you get these dopamine spikes. You're supposed to have them. So you get excited, bungee cord jumping, chocolate, or having sex, you get lots of stimulation in there. But if you have too much of it, which pornography allows, you cloud the whole process. And by doing that, you actually deaden these reactions so they don't fire quite as much. So the things that used to get you excited don't get you excited anymore, like the usual sex that you're supposed to have with the person that you love. And this is an unfortunate reality, is these nerves sort of short circuit and stop serving when that dopamine is overwhelmed by watching pornography. Now, what's normally happening when those nerves are firing is this. It gives rise to a very unique process, the male erection. And it seems like it's a well-orchestrated machine because it is, but it's not magic. You know, it's got to function in a very predictable way. And if you don't have all the right parts of the machinery working together, it's very, very unfortunate because it's like pulling the plug, even if one small thing is not working, like a dopamine in your brain. And that, my friends, is a real downer. And when it comes crashing down, it changes your life, impacting your relationships and causing all kinds of issues, many of them around the shame of not being able to have something that's normally functioning perfectly, function perfectly. So, Dr. Kerr, you argue this is not the only reason that we have erectile dysfunction. There's another cause of pornography-induced erectile dysfunction.
Absolutely. When a guy over-masturbates, he can develop what is called an idiosyncratic masturbatory style. Okay, it's a clinical term. It means that he is really touching himself with a kind of friction and a kind of pressure that is not similar to the kind of friction and pressure that he would have during intercourse. So he is literally acclimating himself to a new kind of physical pressure and sensation that really kind of desensitizes him during actual sex.
This is one of the most shocking things I found reading about this, and doctors are discovering this about porn-induced erectile dysfunction, is that it cannot be treated with traditional drugs. So Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, the usual drugs that are effective for this aren't impactful. Dr. Kramer, why is that?
It makes perfect sense. Pills will do something physiologic. They can provide blood flow to the genitalia, but what they can't do is stimulate the most important sexual organ, which is the brain. So when the brain is desensitized, you create a mismatch. And some men will even say, well, I do get an erection, even in these men who are able to be treated. Even with that erection, they do feel desensitized. They don't get pleasure. So it doesn't treat the pleasure component. And they feel that maybe I'm watching someone else, you know, having sex, or it's not even my penis. I feel like dissociated from the experience. And when they have that, they have this brain-penis mismatch created where their brain is simply not feeling pleasure, even if they may or may not achieve an erection.
A brain-penis mismatch.
Yes, I think that's what we're seeing in people who watch porn, where these medications will work, and certain things work in anyone. Certain pills or injections will...
I get it. I think we're coining a new phrase here, the brain-penis mismatch. It actually is, I think, a very reasonable way to think about what we're describing here. Yeah. So it's not just the men, of course, that are affected by porn-induced erectile dysfunction, but their wives as well. Dr. Barr, since you see these folks in your practice a lot, why aren't couples talking about this? I mean, obviously, the woman's aware this is a problem.
Right. Well, there's an enormous amount of shame and guilt associated with it. The woman thinks that this is my fault, that I'm not attractive enough. What's wrong with me? Why can't I arouse desire in my partner? And the man feels really guilty because he says, why am I not aroused? And he's confused because he says, I feel aroused by her, I'm attracted to her, and I want to please her. And I think that's why this is such a difficult conversation to have, because we think that everything should just work normally. And I think the problem when we're watching porn is because we are setting some bar that doesn't exist, something really unrealistic. It's not even a higher bar, it's just an unrealistic bar. And people are very afraid to talk about it because for men, their masculinity is tied into their performance, because an erection is really an all or nothing thing, the way that people look at it. But I don't think that sex is an all or nothing thing, and it should not be seen as black and white, that either you're able to have an erection and have intercourse or there is no sex. There are many ways to express and connect to your partner in a sensual way that doesn't have to be a black and white issue.